What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of 100 Hours Club. I am your host, Nesto P, and I hope when this reaches you, I hope you are doing awesome, hope you are doing wonderful, and hope you are still chasing what you want to chase, you dig? And on this episode, it's going to be, I want to say, a little different. I think I've done this before on one, but this is going to be an unboxing. In one box, I do got a pair of Jordans. In another box, I do got, this is something from work, and this is, I think, it's real. This is pretty cool. On the box, it does say this was made for those unboxing videos. So I'm gonna try to, live up to that. But yeah, real quick before we get into this one, I've came a long way when it comes to like Jordans. Um, Back in the day, my parents, I think when I really think about it, when my parents were together, I think we were able to get a little bit more than what we usually got. So I had always been shown like nice clothes, nice good shoes. It was never like Jordans. Like it was always like either like Scottie Pippen or Dennis Rodman type stuff. But ultimately, I always been a person that has cared about how he looks and how I'm presented. I want to always look good and just not look good for like anybody but for myself. Like I have came a long way, and for me to be able to do things like this, I do have a very strong support system. I do have my wife, I do have my daughter, and doing like for me, it's like getting a pair of shoes. It's like I go back to like when I was a kid, like especially when you grow up and you have responsibilities, you have debts that you have to pay back, and you do that, you take care of your responsibilities, and it's like I take care of everything I got to take care of, and then if I could put something away, I'll put something away for this, and that's what I do. Like how other people do it, and I'm not the type of person to like borrow money, go broke, and do anything like that just for shoes or just for looks. Nah, that's not me. Like I said, I just came a long way. So for me, Jordans is never like it's not just a shoe. It is a shoe, but it's one of those things that, like I said, back in the day, I couldn't afford that. Like, and even at that, like a pair of Jordans now, I want to say were like 230 with taxes and everything. And back then, they were probably like maybe 100, 150. I wouldn't say no more than 150, but even at that, like Jordan had always been a very iconic brand. Like I said, even back in the day, like I remember they had Team Jordan as well. That was after the Jordans, like the Jordan numbers. But it was always like for me, like I said, I was wearing Scottie Pippens, I was wearing Dennis Rodman's. Like those were the ones that were a little bit cheaper. You know what I mean? Those were the ones that were like if Jordans were 100, these were probably like 50, 70. You know what I mean? And if Jordans were 70, these were probably like 30, 40. You know what I mean? Like it was more affordable for us back then. And like I said, I appreciate it because it was still a brand. It was still Nike. It wasn't Jordan. So I've always appreciated like me doing this. I do it because this is something like now that I'm grown, now that I could save money, now that I could take care of my responsibilities, I'm able to do things like this. And from the outside looking in, I don't know how people look at it. And on the real, it's not something to care about because at the end of the day, what people decide to do with whatever they want to do with or how they want to do it is like it's nobody's business. And I'm not the type of person to count people's pockets. And if that's how you are, then hey, it is what it is. Like I said, it's to me, it's more of a passion. It's more of like now I'm able to actually get them. And like I have shout out to my cousin for getting me these. Like she's a shoe head as well. She's a sneaker head as well. And she's been buying sneakers. I think this pair she has the 2017 drop. So she passed up on them, gave me the opportunity to get them. So ever since I've been like dealing with her, I've been able to get the shoes that I want. And that's very unlikely for me because when I've gone on Nike, I don't really get shoes from anywhere else but Nike. And I've got a couple of shoes from Goat, got a couple of shoes from Flight Club New York. And those are the only spots that I'll get them. But now it's like I have a shoe plug and I'm able to get them. And it's like, it's one of those things like it just brings me back to being like a kid. You know what I mean? Like just saving up and just being excited for it. Because back then, like I said, these shoes were so iconic. Seeing Jordan wear them and then seeing everybody else wear them and put them together and how they were dressing and the fashion they had, like Jordan is a very iconic fashion statement. And if you have J's, it's like people judge it. People have negative things to say, people have positive things to say. And it's like, to me, it's just now I'm able to buy and I'm able to afford the things that I couldn't have when I was young, and I'm able to afford them now. You know what I mean? And it's like, even when I get them, it's like half the shoes I haven't not even worn. But of course, I understand you have to wear these shoes because one thing about Jordan is that they do deteriorate. They do mess up if you don't wear them. Like you could have some very expensive Jordans and you leave them there for 5-6 years, maybe even 7. I don't know how long it is, but if you leave them there for a good amount of time, they are going to deteriorate. And so, of course, the objective is to wear them. But like I said, for me, I'm never going to buy these again. I'm never going to. The next drop that comes out, the Flint Blues are coming out again. And I already got those. So it's like I'm not chasing these pairs again. Like it's ultimately pairs that I've always admired and pairs that now that I could get them, I get them. But yeah, so on this one, like I said, that was just a little insight because, like I said, it's to me, it's bigger than just a shoe. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let's open it, and we will be opening the Jordan 13 Chicago's. I thought they were called cherries, but it is what it is. So let's get into it. This is this box, and then I do got another box. So let's get this popping. You see it. You see it already. That's what's out the box right there. That's straight out the box. You dig? Man. If you know me, you know my color is red. If you know me, you know my color is red. So let's open them. Dun 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 dun. Wow. I must admit, they are pretty nice. They are pretty nice. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Man. This is a pretty cool shoe. You see, I have the Flint Blues, and then I also have the Chinese New Year's in this style, which is a 13. So I think I'm good with 13s. And truth of the matter is that my wife does approve of these, so that's probably one of the biggest reasons. But yeah, so I think the next 13 would be He Got Game. But yeah, these are nice. I can't even trip. Supposedly, the bottom is inspired by the black cat. It's like the leopard, like the patches, the print of a black cat. Yeah. So I don't know. These are nice. That's one. This is the left shoe. This is the right shoe right here. 8.5, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever want to give me a pair of shoes, 8.5. And you see, I'm good. It's wild. Like I never paid attention to the detail of it. Like I think my Flint Blues I've only worn them like maybe 3 or 4 times. I do have the Ferrari 14s, the yellow ones. I've only worn those one time. I wore those on my birthday. It was a birthday that my wife threw for me, and it was Avengers themes, and that was so dope. But off topic, but yeah, that's the only time that I wore those. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago what Air Jordan 13s, Chicago. These are, ladies and gentlemen. I don't ever think I'll probably wear these. Now that I'm looking at them, I do want to get, but you see, that's the thing. Like, it's like I ain't trying to invest. Like, it's like I got the shoe. I don't want to put more into the shoe because for me, I gotta have like a crease protector. That's another like $20 between like maybe 15 20. And then they also have this thing like it's a plastic that you can put on the bottom of the shoe, and that's to protect and that's to absorb like that's to keep this looking good and not have it aging and getting dirty. You just put that plastic over it, and you gotta. But that's what I'm saying. You gotta buy that. Then you gotta do the work of like hot gunning it. So it's like like that's why I want to wear them, and that's the thing. I want to wear these, but it's like I work a lot, so it's like when am I supposed to do it? I did want to get my daughter some of these, but I think the kid sizes were pretty good. They were a pretty good amount as well. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Jordan 13 Chicago's. Yeah. So now let's get on to the fun box. This box right here is fun to me because I think it's pretty cool. And the reason why I say it's cool is because at my place of employment, I I put these in the car, and what it is, it's Carfax. It's a Carfax. I'm pretty sure on TV you might have seen the Carfax. You know what I mean? Like saying about the Carfax, and ultimately a Carfax gives you all the information on a used car. For the most part, Carfax will come out on the used car, and it'll give you all the information if it's been in a wreck, how many times it's been in a wreck, how many service, where it gets serviced at. It kind of gives you all the information on the vehicle, and it kind of follows the vehicle where it goes. But so this is something that whenever I am responsible for putting prices and stickers on the play on at where I work at, and with stickers and with stuff like that, with pricing comes a Carfax. So, and I always make sure that a Carfax is in the vehicle, and we do, and for the most part, like it's very important because it does give. It's one of those things like if a customer would ask for it, then it's like okay, like I don't know if the dealerships would say no, but it's one of those things like if they could ask for it and they could see it, that's more comfortable and them more willing wanting to buy the vehicle. Like hiding a Carfax, that's kind of keeping information from the vehicle that you're trying to purchase and what you're looking at. And of course, this is one of those things that it kind of gives you the 411 of the vehicle and of what we have on the lot and whatnot. And like I don't know how it goes. I have no idea how this is brought and how we get it and how we win it or whatnot or how like we get this, but this is pretty cool. Like I do have other ones, and I do have like a. This is probably my sixth one right here, and I've never. I think the other ones were just like handed to me. This like the last couple of ones I got them in a box, and the one previously had the same thing where it said this was made for those unboxing videos, and of course I didn't do it. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it, but yeah. So you know what? Let's open this one real quick. So we get to just chilling. My daughter's with my mother-in-law, and I kind of hate it because my daughter's is always with us, and I love being with her. But we're chilling. Gives me a chance to work. But yeah, see, I have that shit. Imagine if I would just boom, over. Okay, that's opening it. This is what it is. Congratulations on earning the 2025 certificate. Carfax top rated So this is a top rated dealer award. Hashtag golden car. So there you go. Has paper. Why, I have no idea. And that's what that's what it says. It's nuts. I tell you, it's nuts. The one before, that's what it's wrapped in. Boom, and then ready. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let's take this bad boy out. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the golden Carfax, because it's Carfax, yeah. So this is pretty cool. Like I said, I've been at my dealership for a good amount of time, and little perks like this, I think it's cool. You know, I don't know if other people think it's cool, but for me, like I said, little stuff like this, I really appreciate. And like I said, one of the main reasons why I really appreciate it is because I put the stuff in these vehicles. You know, like I make sure that every time I take out a vehicle, every time I take out a used car, that it does have the information that it needs, and and like I said, putting stickers and putting the right information in these vehicles make it a lot more easier and a lot more trustworthy for customers to come in and say, hey, I want to purchase from here. And one of my jobs, and I think the biggest job of mine, is making the things on my lot presentable and making it organized, and making sure that when customers come on my lot, they know what they're looking at. They're not confused, and if they have questions, we're there to answer them. But it does take a lot. Like I said, it does take a lot of work. It's not, these are, I don't, it's ultimately, I would say this is probably like customer base. Like, you know what I mean? If customers are happy, ultimately everything around it is happy as well, But I really appreciate y'all, ladies and gentlemen. I do, like I said, I have a lot of stuff coming out. I do have a lot of material that I'm working on and whatnot. But like I said, I'm gonna always give y'all the real stuff. I'm never gonna give y'all any BS. But I really appreciate y'all vibing with me. Air Jordan 13's, Chicago's, and my buddy right here, Mr. Carfax. But y'all have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen. Until I see you again, yalla.